If you are looking for one of the best family homestead YouTube channels for keeping the journey real, you found it today. In this video, I've got some DIY kitchen organization ideas I've been rolling around in my brain, and I have decided to dive headfirst into them. At the end of this video, I thought I'd share 8 ways that I have found to help me keep a kitchen and a home at least semi-clean during the busiest and one of the dirtiest times of year here at our mountain homestead. Lastly, I'll share a Bible verse that helps me keep my chin up when the messes and the lengthy to-do lists are weighing heavy on me. Some of what's going on around here and some really super honest updates, because honesty is part of my mission here. If you are new here, hi, I'm Shayla. I'm an earthy mountain mama of 6 and blessed wife. My husband and I are going on 20 years. You can learn more about us in the description box below if you'd like. All right, friends, this time of year, it's intense. We see so many homesteading influencers these days sharing such peaceful looking, beautiful Instagram-worthy clips, and while those are wonderfully inspiring and delightful, they don't always share the gritty side, so that's what I'm doing today. But don't worry, I'll sprinkle in just a few of the pretty breaks in the storm that I find along the way too, just so you know that I don't actually aspire for my family to be messy. There is so much to do, though, during the fall here at our mountain homeschool homestead. There's firewood to split, there's siding to put up, and a roof to repair before the snow flies. There's a garden to harvest, and then to prepare for next year. We even have a puppy to train right now. There's food to preserve before it goes bad, preferably. Yeah, there is a story there. And homeschool is in session, so there's lessons to do and teach. There's chicken coops to prepare for winter. And so many things are vying for our attention to be done before the snow flies. All of the things that we have to do leave very little time for cleaning and organizing from at least the last week of August through October. And I am a little bit of a neat freak, so that is difficult for me to put the cleaning aside. As a homeschool mom too, lately my routine is to assign independent school that the kids don't need me for on Monday and Friday and teaching days. Every year starting in February, I like to map out the upcoming homeschool year. I feel like last February I did a really good job because so far things are working better than they ever have. I prayed long and hard over how I wanted things to go this upcoming homeschool year. And so far the homesteading, the homeschooling, the homemaking, along with my part-time job, all of it does seem to be flowing much more efficiently than ever before, for which I'm extremely thankful for. I feel like God really heard my prayers and led me to create a schedule that would actually truly work for us. I have Friday through Monday to work part-time and run the home and homestead, and I have to be super intentional with my time. There is not a moment to waste this time of year. Otherwise, food from the garden goes to waste. And if there's a misstep along the way, that can and does happen. Normally we clean half the house on Thursday and the other half on Friday. This house, it takes around 8 or 9 hours to clean, so I usually split it up through the week. Not this time of year though. About all we can keep up on during this season is the bathrooms and the kitchen, and I just fit those cleaning days in when we can. I would not call this ideal, but since our focus is on getting the food preserved and keeping lessons rolling, the rest of the house kind of takes a back burner and can get pretty dirty and disorganized, especially with all that foot traffic coming in straight from the gardens. Honestly, I am not complaining too much because I sure do love where we live and our life. Right now, the house has gotten to be in such bad shape, though, especially organization-wise, that it's starting to become difficult to function efficiently in. And so, I decided that it's time to do a little cleaning and organizing today. And that's when I realized exactly how dirty the house had gotten.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire.
When it comes to DIY kitchen organizing, I like to look around at spaces that are not working and look around my home for items that I have already that could help me repurpose the area. We've had this rather unattractive shelf in the garage for quite some time, and it does look very bad in this scene. Although it's not pretty to look at, it is fairly sturdy, so I have been thinking for quite some time about putting it over in a different spot that I think we might be able to utilize it a little more efficiently in. Our home style is boho with a hint of industrial, so I think this shelf would be a nice touch inside the house instead of in the garage to add to the industrial vibe. Although I love this little space that I created when we first moved in over here on this wall going from our dining room into our kitchen, or kitchen into dining room, whichever direction you're going, I have had to come to the realization that this space could be better utilized. I do not know about you guys, but I found that it takes me at least 2 years and up to 5 years to figure out how to best organize a space in a new home, and we've only been in this home for about 1.5 years. It's the biggest home we've ever lived in, and because of that, it definitely has big advantages when it comes to organization. But the problem that I'm running into is that it is an unfinished home, and we've been working to finish it in all of our spare time. This means things get moved around a lot, and it's taking me a lot longer to figure out how to organize spaces. Alright, so one of my big conundrums lately that I've had is with canning jars. We were keeping them all in the cellar, but I got tired of having to go up and down the stairs 3 or 4 times a week. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. The kids got tired of me asking them to go up and down the stairs 3 or 4 times a week to get more jars or take more jars down. So I realized I needed to do something different. I realized I needed to keep jars or create a space for jars near the kitchen for fast and efficient canning, since I only have a little bit of time after I'm done teaching lessons to get the canning done before it's time to start dinner. It's always a tight squeeze. I also needed a better and more space for dishes and serving dishes because the current setup just wasn't working so well, and the kids were constantly vocalizing discouragement over the space. After a lot of considering and brewing over the area, I came up with this plan. We needed a place to put the microwave as well. It needed to kind of stay in this area. I decided my copper baskets were perfect for holding onions, and they look so pretty on display here. I've kind of had them scattered through the house, and so it was kind of nice to get them all back together.
There is a life I lead.
If you have been following me, you know that the island area has been tricky from the start. It's one of the areas that always seems messy to me and difficult to organize, and it's been kind of a catch-all place, which I didn't like. I got this tile top table in a pinch. It was secondhand and very cheap, but it was never my style, and the tiles were a nightmare, which I probably don't have to explain to anybody that has ever had tile in their kitchen. I know, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyways, the island area was one of the areas that was always frustrating me. Well, about a day after I started reorganizing the kitchen, I came across a table that was almost identical to the style I have been wanting for our kitchen island. We still need to do a top that I can cut on. I want a butcher block top for this whole space. But this table was one of the last pieces to the puzzle I needed. This was secondhand, which I love. It was affordable, very affordable, and in decent condition still. It has some cosmetic damages, but it even has the bookshelf on one side like I was wanting. It was a very blessed find. I just felt like God had been hearing my heart's desires for this area and was just like, here you go. The whole family went on and on. All of the kids and even my husband, they just loved this table here so much more than what was there before. It even came with bar stool chairs, which we had been needing for our office. We needed to replace our chairs in our office because they were falling apart. We kept one of the chairs here though. One of them didn't have a back, and it's a hit. When I'm in the kitchen, it's not uncommon for one of the kids to come in, sit on the chair, and tell me something fun or interesting that happened that day. I didn't like having all the different counter levels in the previous setup, and this works so much better. I was thankful that it's cooled off outside, and we were able to take the air conditioner set up out. I do like having a nice cool home in the summer, and I'm thankful that we don't have very hot summers for very long. But I did not like having the air conditioner in this kitchen window. It blocked off so much light, and it made it dark and hard for me to see and work in this space. Once it was out, I felt like I got my kitchen back. I was able to organize this space for baking again, and I love having this space as a baking corner with everything I need in one place. When you are doing your DIY kitchen organizing, I definitely recommend having stations in your kitchen. It makes such a difference. In my kitchen, I have a baking station and a food cutting station, and those are my two big areas. Having those stations helps the whole kitchen run a little more efficiently. If you guys would like to see more about how I organize my kitchen, I do have a whole video on that, so I will link to that below for you. So I told you I would share some tips that I have found for helping the house and the kitchen stay as clean as possible during harvest season. The first one is not really home or kitchen related, but it is to take care of your body and your mind. Healthy electrolyte energy drinks and taking your vitamins. Make sure that you take care of your body during this time of year and the really intense seasons and busy times of year. That is the first tip. Second tip, guys, get a robot vacuum if you can. I am consistently amazed at how helpful this robot vacuum has been for our family. I love it. It makes such a difference. The one issue that we have had with the robot vacuum is it does not like our ruggables. Our ruggables were kind of a bad investment from the start. I feel like they're not what I had hoped they would be. They curl, and they curl pretty badly. They require ironing and all kinds of steps in order to get them to lay semi-flat. So we just decided we're going to roll them up and stuff them away or put them in another place of the house for right now, and I'm going to consider donating them. I don't know if I'm going to keep them or not. They just haven't worked like I thought they would. And so I'm going to roll them up so that the robot vacuum can do its work, because right now they're just not worth having since they don't work with the robot vacuum. Third tip, air purifiers. Air purifiers can help cut down the dust in your home. They help cut down allergens. So I highly recommend that to have a little bit less of a dusty home, you have an air purifier. I mean, you're still going to have dust around, and you're still going to need to dust, but the air purifier will help some. Fourth tip, if you're like me and have a lot of people to feed, and also you have a lot of people who are also using the kitchen 24/7, having a kitchen day where you take some time to put the kitchen back in good order and clean the fridges, refill bins, fix areas that need to be adapted for the season, and menu plan with the foods that you need to use up before they go bad. All of these things can really help the whole home to run a little bit more efficiently. So have a kitchen day. Number 5, and this is in line with the kitchen day, provide checklists that are always posted in the kitchen. This will help the other people to do the jobs right. So if you've got other people that are using the kitchen or who have kitchen cleanup duty, this will help them remember the things that need to be done so that things aren't forgotten. Number 6, have at least 2 or 3 bathroom days a week as well, where the bathrooms get a good scrubbing. Number 7, have checklists for those rooms too so the other family members can pitch in. Number 8, no matter how busy life gets, you can still have a tidy up time of day where everybody pitches in for at least 10 minutes. And that 10-minute power pickup time, it can go a long ways. You'd be surprised if you've got yourself and your family working together to see what all you can get done as far as getting the house tidy within just a short amount of time. These are some clips of my house right now. I mean, we've got pantries that badly need organization and where it's getting difficult to find things in. We have dust that is just collecting everywhere, and the floors haven't been swept in a very long time because I just got rid of those rugs. Now that I got rid of these, though, the vacuum will be able to do its job and the floors will stay in much better shape. So it took a day and a couple afternoons, but I did get the house back into some working order so that it will run a little bit more efficiently. One of the fun things that we just added recently was this drain. We've had a serious issue with our family where the kids that do the dishes, the one thing they don't do after they're done is they would never clean out the drain. The drain that we had before had small little holes for the water to drain through, and so it was constantly plugged with food, and none of the kids wanted to reach down and get that yucky food out so that the sink would drain. So the sinks were always very grody. And my husband is a carpenter and construction worker, and he does a lot of remodel jobs, and one of the people that he did a remodel for had one of these drains, and that's how he learned about it. So he bought one for me, and I was just ecstatic over this. All of our kids are raving about it. One of my boys, he went on for 5 minutes about how wonderful this invention was. The kids love this, I think maybe as much or more than I do, because although I would reach down into the drain and it didn't bother me to get all that goopy food out, the kids completely hated it, and they don't have to do that anymore. And my sinks are finally clean like they're supposed to be instead of a petri dish. So I highly recommend this nifty little drain device. I will link to it below for you guys. I know some of you really enjoy watching the homestead journey, so here's what's been happening around the homestead. Recently, my husband had to replace all of the screws on our entire roof because, well, of course, it started leaking. And the screws, he said, are supposed to be tightened. I can't remember how often he said. They're supposed to be tightened ever so often so that the screws stay tight, and he doesn't think that these were ever tightened. So he had to replace all of the screws in the entire roof, which was a project that took 2 weekends.
You don't want to use cheap water-based caulking for patching these holes. Now the stuff I'm using is called Through the Roof. It's supposed to be able to apply to wet surfaces, and once it's on there, it's instantly waterproof. So if it goes to raining now, these holes are the same as sealed.
We've been working hard on the chicken coop to get it all ready.
We're getting ready to paint the chicken coops. These two are eating chips. They're standing in the shade watching the older kids eating chips. The other ones are getting ready to start painting. So cool. I had no idea anything could be painted as fast as you guys are going. We're gonna have these done in less than an hour.
We've been carrying our potatoes for a little over 2 weeks. This is probably only around half of the potatoes that we have though. So we've been carrying them in here and checking on them to pull any rotten ones out. And it's time to start getting these potatoes into the potato sacks. Potatoes from the grocery store that are not organic are sprayed with chemicals that are not healthy to keep them from spudding. And so when we buy potatoes, I usually try to buy organic, or else I buy potatoes and end up peeling them. To have this many wonderful potatoes for our family that are all organic is just such an immense blessing. This is the biggest potato harvest I have ever had, you guys. We've never had such a wonderful potato harvest. This one here is about 4 inches. All right, so these potatoes have been curing for 2 weeks now, and what we need to do is we need to sort them. See the biggest ones? We need the biggest ones in one pile, and then we want to group all of these in piles that are similar in size. We don't want to put little potatoes with big potatoes. We want to use the smallest ones first. We actually want to use any cut ones. So see, this one over here is kind of cut, or it looks like something was eating on it, like a mole maybe. And then we have others in here that are cut. Here it's cut. This one's cut, but it's kind of healed over, so it'll be okay. Now this one right here, here's one. See this one here with the cut? We don't want those in with the potatoes that aren't cut, because that potato right there will probably rot a little bit sooner. Here's a potato right here that looks like it's going bad. There's one over there that's going bad. Do you see how there's potatoes touching that one right there that's gone bad? All the potatoes around it, we do not want to store those in with the bag, because they can, in any potato that is even remotely slightly rotten or been touching one that's rotten, can make the rest of the potatoes rot. One rotten potato will make all the rest of the potatoes go bad in almost no time. So you have to be really careful that we do not put any potatoes that are potentially rotten or been touching a rotten one in with the main potato bag. Do you hear me, boys? The red ones are Pontiacs, and then the lighter colored ones, we have 2 different kinds. We have Yukons and Russets in here. You can kind of tell the difference between the Russets and the Yukons though. We want to store them all separately and in different groups. We don't want to put Russets with Yukons and red potatoes with Russets. We want to do it all separately. It's almost the middle of October, and today is the great tomato harvest. I promised a Bible verse. This is the one that always helps me this time of year especially. When I was a young woman, around 16, so a while ago, I heard a large family mom friend that I had talk about how messy the house would get with her 8 kids. She was talking about how the Bible verse, Proverbs 14:44, helped her so much. The verse is, "Where there are no oxen, the manger is empty, but from the strength of an ox came abundant harvests." I think about that Bible verse this time of year, and it helps me remember that all this mess means I have been blessed with all the children that I have, and I've been blessed with food to feed them. and I've been blessed with a nice, safe home to house them in. And this helps me overlook the things that I simply cannot fit in to get done with less grimacing. And it helps me focus on what I need to prioritize with more gratitude.